Hello, John Bloodworth, Gentleman Crafter here again with another card layout. This time around I've chosen some oriental papers to make this particular card. There's a little cool technique later that I'll show you as well. So this is the layout that I'm going to be using. Nice simple strips to work with. So again, easy to use with your scraps of card. I've got some distress ink, some pins, gems and a cocktail stick. You'll see how handy that is later. Some parchment paper that I thought worked well with the papers that I'd chosen. This is a sheet from the Oriental paper pad from Stamperia, as are these. I can't show you the cover because I've already chopped it up. I'm going to use that particular sheet that I was showing you as the card base, and that's pretty much all I'm going to be using. So, time to chop this up and time to make sure that I get it right. I wanted to use this particular paper as it already had quite a lot of activity going on. Now I'm scoring the card in half so that I end up with a 6x4 card. I have had people question why I score inside rather than outside this card, and I find that this reduces the bulk in the fold and prevents cracking it on the outside. But listen, if you've learned a different way and it's working, go with it. Okay, cutting up the strips according to the layout. And of course, as ever, if you would like to grab hold of this layout together with the exact dimensions I'm using, please head over to my blog, gentlemancrafter.com, where you can download and print yourself a copy. Or store it digitally, whichever you prefer. Loving these oriental papers because they have lots of things going on them. So there's very little to actually to add to the card when you come to decorate it. Okay, so I'm just using some fired brick distress ink just to add a little bit of shading to the edges. Not a huge amount. I'm not going crazy. But it's just really to sort of add a border. Not a mystery border. That would be crazy. Because you wouldn't see it. It would be a mystery. But I'm adding just a shade of a border. Next up, I'm gluing the paper strips to the card directly, using the bookbinding glue as ever. A lot of you are discovering that it's a great glue for card making. As you can see, even with using sort of heavyweight papers rather than card, it doesn't buckle, which is absolutely brilliant because it means you can extend the range of papers and cardstocks that you can use. I did have somebody ask about clogging, and I'm 2/3 of the way through this large bottle and I've not had a single clog as far as I can remember. There's been a bit of gunk at the top, but every now and again you just pull that off and off you go. Okay, that's the 3 strips on, and time to make the bit that's going on top. I'm cutting myself a 2-inch strip of parchment paper. I'm telling you the measurement for that because that wasn't listed on the layout. And here's a couple of experiments I did before this video just to sort of see what I was doing. One involved actually sticking the cocktail stick to the paper and then wrapping it around and cutting off the ends. The other involves just wrapping the paper around the cocktail stick as I'm showing you now. Not always the easiest thing to do, a little bit of fiddling going on. And then sticking the paper to itself. So in actual fact, you're creating a tunnel with the cocktail stick. That will come out in the end. And I'm holding it in place with just little mini clothes pegs. Whatever you've got available to secure it while it's drying will work. Now for the little decorative headed pins, I'm using the dimensional glue and I'm applying just a tiny amount away from the pin head, so that when I put it in, it coats the shaft of the pin, the card, and doesn't squidge out too much at the end. So you just end up with almost like a decorative scroll. Okay, now the one I made earlier, the pin didn't stick typically, so I'll have to fix that in a minute. Just cropping out one of these sentiments from the Oriental paper pad, just with scissors roughly, doesn't matter. I am sanding the edges, and the reason that I did this was I wanted to expose the fibres of the paper so they would catch a little more colour from the ink that I added to the edges. This is then going to get stuck to the banner, almost like you're unfurling a wise message. The earth has music for those who listen. I've been hearing a lot of bird song early in the morning, and as much as I love nature, I'd love them to shut up until a little bit later, thank you very much. Anyway, back to the point. Just fixing this by adding a little more of that dimensional glue, and the cocktail stick comes in very handy here too, for taking away any excess before you push the pin all the way in. Don't forget to put the cap back on that one, otherwise that will dry up and you will not get any use. Okay, now I wanted to tear off the bottom, but I wanted to do it at a slant, so I was just eyeballing a measurement so that the strips from the bottom would still appear. Then just mucking about with the bottom edge. That's a technical term, mucking about, fiddling, doing whatever you fancy, just making it look a bit curled. I could have distressed it a bit further, but yeah, it works. On with some foam pads, because I wanted this to be raised away from the card, as it's the focal point. And then onto the card. Again, just eyeballing the position. The sentiment in the middle obviously takes the place of that panel that's shown on the layout. Now I did want to add a couple of gems, but I kind of lost track of where I was going with those, so I was a bit all over the place until I decided actually they would balance nicely if I put them bottom right, up that little strip of whatever it is, no idea. And there you go, that's card layout number 28. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up and leave any comments in the section below the video. Thanks for watching. That's it for this time. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And for more from me in the future, please remember to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.